Check, check, test, check, check. Oh, that's not good. Why is it only coming in one channel? That's not good at all. Oh man, they love to do this to me. Why is this happening? Let me think. What am I doing wrong? Think about it. Let me see. Is anything else going through there? Hold on, folks. We just have to figure out this. We've just got some issues over here. Yeah. Okay. Stand by, folks. Stand by, folks. It clearly isn't working right. Oh. I think that's right. But that still doesn't make sense. I have to go back and fix something. Check one, check one, check one. Okay, looks like we're good. Let's do this thing.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
Good evening, sports fans! Good to have you here. Welcome, Happy New Year as we restart the sandwich show for the year. My name's Dave Medina. You also know me as Dave Eating a Sandwich on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and maybe at some point Reddit. I don't know. But hope your holidays were good. I hope you're doing well out there. Obviously a very difficult situation as far as the football world is concerned. But we're glad to have you here. We're going to talk about what happened in the last few weeks, and including some incredible... Hey, Lowski, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome back. It's good to be back here doing the thing. John in Connecticut will join us for all the scenarios. And then we'll recap what's been happening in the contest as well, and get previewed what's ahead, which is the national championship in college football and the season finale in the NFL, Week 18 upon us. So with all that said, much to discuss. So thank you very much for rejoining us. We begin another year of the Sandwich Show 2023, and here on the podcast feed, we're glad to be back with doing more sports for you, and we'll see where it goes. We'll keep doing sports coverage throughout the playoffs. We always like to do the prop bets each year. We'll see. We'll figure out a way to get that going too. But thank you again for your continued support. I mean, we've been off Twitch for a while. Like, I think the last show we did was the Santa stream, and that was, I think it was what, like 23rd or 22nd. So it's been a bit. So nice to be back here. I think it needs not be said, but we are all just thinking of Damar Hamlin right now. It's incredible. Like, it was just a regular hit on a Monday Night Football game in a big game. The Bills defensive back was hit, put a hit on T. Higgins, and then he stood up and then he just collapsed on the ground. And it turned out what happened was he had a cardiac arrest, and medics were really quick to to try to put CPR on him. It was pretty intense too, they said, and just an incredibly scary, frightening moment for him. He is still alive as of this moment. I'm told that there was significant progress in the last 2 days, which is good to hear. but just a really incredibly sad situation. Our hearts are with the entire Hamlin family and the Buffalo Bills and the NFL at large too, to some degree. So we'll be thinking of him as we start this program tonight. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest tonight, and that would be John in Connecticut. And John, I appreciate you joining us on the circumstances. I hope you're well. What's new with you tonight? How are things going for you?
Doing well, Dave. Yeah, Happy New Year to you and all the Twitch listeners, viewers. Unfortunately, Andy and Kevin and Ron are unable to join us, but hey, we got to talk some sports. But yeah, obviously just a tragic situation on Monday night with Damar. And, it's like I was reading that it's like a 1 in a million chance what happened to him. I guess if you get hit like in that spot in the chest, like when the heart is going through its cycle, basically, that can like immediate cardiac arrest can happen. And I saw a video that it actually happened in the NHL to some player. I want to say Chris Pronger. I believe that was the guy. And it was the exact same thing. You see the video, he takes like a puck to his chest, and then he gets up, and then a second later he collapses on the ice. And obviously they revived him, and we're hoping for the same for Damar. But I wasn't actually watching like the game like with my full attention. It was kind of like on another screen. So I just kind of looked over for a second and like, oh, okay, the game stopped. There must be an injury. Then I looked over again in a couple of minutes. I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? Like there's players all over the field. And then I looked again in a couple of minutes, and then there's the ambulance on the field. I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. Then you started seeing the tweets coming out that, they're performing CPR on the field. And then what really got me was just the reactions of the players. Like, Josh Allen, like you could just visibly see like the tears in his eyes. Stephon Diggs, like they were all like just completely shaken up. I guess we can kind of get into the NFL's response because, I don't think Joe Buck would lie. Like, do you think he'd lie that they told him there'd be a 5-minute warm-up period? Like, I don't think so, because you saw Joe Burrow warming up, like he was throwing a football. You saw Stephon Diggs, like he was like trying to rally the team basically. So I think that was probably the directive, but they really didn't understand. Maybe the NFL didn't understand how serious it was at that point. So I guess it's the only kind of, give them, I guess, a pass because they don't understand like what was going on. And then finally, when, Taylor walks across the field to McDermott, like they have that conversation, like you knew the game wasn't going to happen at that point when they went into the locker room, and eventually the right call was made. But man, what just a horrific situation. And we're certainly, it's good to hear the positive updates, obviously from the hospital since he was taken in. Even if it's incremental, I know he's still in critical condition and like sedated, but there's some positive updates that he was moving in the right direction. But it's something that like you'll never forget, watching that like live in real time.
That's what I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. It's like one of those you'll remember where you were moments, and it's kind of just a couple of things. Actually, a lot of things to really unpack here. I mean, one, I think you really made some great points, John, as far as the odds of that happening, and not only the odds of him even having that happen to him, having the cardiac arrest, but also the odds of him surviving it is incredible. I was told that, if it was just like one beat later, like 1 minute, one moment later, he probably would have died. And I just think the response by the emergency team has been extraordinary, and I got to give him a lot of credit for that.
Right, like who would have who would have known at that moment, like that's what happened, a guy goes down, you're thinking, okay, maybe he has like a concussion or, just usual, like a leg injury or arm injury. Like at what point do you realize, oh my God, like this guy is not breathing, his heart stopped, like he needs like life-saving tactics. And like they used a defibrillator on him too. So, the response of the on-field medical team really saved his life. And, shout out to those people, because the definition of lifesavers, those guys that were on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's a lot of credit to ESPN. We normally trash ESPN for their coverage of anything, but they did a really good job, I think, addressing the gravity of the situation and utilizing perspective. I think that was necessary and important. And it was clear they were all shaken up by the situation. So, props to them for being honest about it, not just sucking up to the NFL like they usually do. So that was huge. Like, they kind of called him out too. Like, remember you talked about the 5-minute thing?
Yeah.
That was rare I've never seen that. I've never seen ESPN like actually call out the NFL for something like that. So that was interesting to me.
Right. It's like, why would Joe Buck lie about something like that? I mean, Joe Buck is a lot of things, but I wouldn't call him a liar. Like, I don't think he would lie about something like that. And his words were like, we heard from the league that they have a 5-minute warm-up period. Like, I don't think he would lie about something like that. So, But like I said, maybe they just didn't understand like how serious it was at that point, and they just thought they could just move on with the game, which I mean is I guess is understandable. And then once more information came out, they made the right call to obviously, not play the game. Maybe the coaches and the players kind of made the decision for them easy. But in that moment, I think that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to resume the game. And ESPN, they certainly called them out. I didn't see like the panel with Booger and Susie Colbert and I don't know who the third person was. I don't remember.
It was Adam Schefter, I believe. Yeah.
Schefter, yeah, right. Schefter. Okay. That shows how worthless. I don't remember anything that he was saying. But the after the game, though, with Ryan Clark and SVP, they were tremendous.
Yeah.
They were absolutely tremendous.
Oh, yeah. It's really interesting that Ryan Clark went through some really serious stuff, if you remember, in his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler. So it's incredibly good. It's fortuitous it happened to be in the, that's his regular spot, but it's fortuitous that he had the perspective to share with us for that. So now the question is, by the way, hello, Lowski Zero and King Downbreakers. So good to see you. Y'all go follow those two folks. They're really great variety streamers. But so now the question is, what's next for the league? Which I know time and place is always the thing, but I think at some point there will be a decision on what they do with the schedule. John, so many scenarios that can be utilized here. One would be to make the game a tie. One would be to reschedule the game for the bye week, things like that. How would you assess what the NFL could do to make up that game, or just simply not make up that game and carry on with the rest of the schedule?
I mean, I don't want to be in that position, that's for sure, to try to figure this one out. I mean, there's just so many logistical, issues to work through. I don't think you can give it a tie, because that affects like a lot of the various playoff scenarios, because I know they're still fighting for like the 1 seed and fighting for division titles, and like that extra half win or loss is really going to affect things. So maybe they just declared a no contest and each of those teams play 16 games rather than 17. And then it's kind of just like a winning percentage thing when you're doing the seedings and whatnot. So I could maybe see that happening. If they really want to reschedule it, I saw a couple ideas floated around. So like next weekend would be like the wild card weekend with the 6 games. Instead, you'd only have 3 NFC games, because those will be all set. And then you'd replay the Bills-Bengals game. So you'd have those 4 games next weekend. And then the following weekend, you would play the AFC wild card round, and then the NFC would get a break, a bye, essentially. And then you'd continue the playoffs as usual the following weekend, and then you just eliminate the bye week between the Super Bowl, the conference championships and the Super Bowl. Similar to that vein, if they wanted to push the entire playoffs back a week and just play the Bills-Bengals game next Sunday or next weekend, I guess they could do that too. But again, it's all, about logistical concerns, like are the stadiums available, or, those kind of things. I mean, I imagine, the NFL has power in this kind of situation that they could basically get whatever they want. And probably most of these stadiums are like on a contingency basis available for the NFL playoffs. So they when the season starts, like you want to assume your team is going to be playing. So I guess that's something that they can do. But honestly, I think those are the 2 best options if they want to get it played. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what they announce. I think they're really hoping that this week's results it makes that game meaningless, basically. And then they can just forget it. Each team will have their 16 games, and then the playoffs will start as usual next weekend. But if that game has to mean something, you got to imagine they're going to fit it in here somehow.
Yeah, I mean, when we won't really know the results of that until the weekend's out, so we'll find out eventually. Right. I was curious as to whether whether the Bills would play their game. I think the Cincinnati Bengals would probably be fine to play whatever game they're playing against Baltimore. So We'll find out. I don't need to speculate on it now.
Yeah, that's true. And we're still a couple days away from Sunday, so I mean, things could definitely change. I would agree the Bengals would be more likely to get back on the field. Although I saw Burrow quoted today saying like it'd be like 50-50 if you polled the players about whether they wanted to play. But certainly the Bills are in more precarious situation. I think they did have like a walkthrough today, or they had team meetings. I read, but that's not practice. So I guess we'll see as tomorrow and Friday develop what comes out of it.
Absolutely. So just to repeat from all of us on the Sandwich Show, like we're all thinking of you, Damar, and we hope for continued recovery of Ives. It's a really sad situation. We can only hope for the best at this point, and there's not much else we can say at this matter. There hasn't been much said, but the progress is good, and I'm glad to hear it. And we'll see what happens next week. We'll probably have an update on that scenario, and hopefully he'll be doing better. We can only hope. So let's carry on. We got the contest ready to go. So I've got some updates. We've got some standings, everything else for you. So we got a really, really, really good bowl season to recap. So folks, let's find out how we all did last week and in the weeks in over the course of the season. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Here we go. Football picks, week 19. It's our final week of the season for this contest. And let's take a look what happened last week. So Andy had that game on Monday night, so it will not be counted towards the results. So you had 3 games, he went 2-1, which would put him for the best week out of all of us on the regular panel. Ron was in second place at 2-2. Kevin was also 2-2 for the week, and John was 1-3. I am 0-4 specifically because I didn't listen to my own principle, which is never take a giant favorite in bowl season. Dumb, but I did twice. That's why I'm 0-4. Anyway, standings after 18 weeks. It is John hanging on to first place and probably clinching it at this point, I think. I don't think it's possible for me mathematically. Yeah, I don't think I can do it. 38-31-1. So John, congratulations. You're more than like 90% likely to hang on to the division lead. So kudos to you. Dave is at second place at 33-37. Disappointing ending, I can say, because of that week. Andy is 32-26. We'll resolve that by way of having him pick an extra game in the week to come. And Ron is in fourth place at 29-40-1. Kevin is in last at 29-41. There was a little brewing storyline. Kevin trying to make a run for fourth place here, and right there, it's that's actually some juice if you can think about it. For the contest. So we'll keep it rolling. And back to you, John. We're here to kind of round it out. And yeah, I mean, just a great run. I know, John, you've had years that have been really frustrating in this contest, so I'm really happy for you having a nice season this year.
Yeah, 2 years in a row now. I think I won last year too. Nice. So the 2-time defending champ now. Yeah. So should get a plaque or something.
Should get you a belt like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
That's awesome. John, I have to say, a lot of times you go into bowl season, we're very disappointed. This is the best bowl season we've had probably the entire decade so far. It's been really good. Your thoughts?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, short of like some completely, absolutely disgusting performances that we can get to, because we have a lot of time, just the two of us. But yeah. Do you want to start with the playoff games, or do you want to start with some other games? Honestly, I did not watch much of the playoff games because it was, I have to say, like New Year's Eve, like it's the worst time to have those games on, like the absolute worst.
100%.
Like here I am trying to be in a group of people watching the ball drop, trying to watch my phone on Ohio State's last drive. Like as the ball drops, he's kicking that field goal. I'm not paying attention at all. It's ridiculous. But in any event, Dave, let's start with USC. I want your thoughts on your Trojans because man.
I'm going to quote a line Andy used to say in the voicemail to Tommy a long time ago. It's become to be expected. Like, that defense is so bad. I'm just laughing at it at the end of it. It's just like, there you go. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Tulane averaged like 10 yards a carry. Like anytime they handed the ball off to that guy Spears, and we called it too.
We did.
We said it like on our preview. Like Tulane could get anything they wanted basically in the run game because just USC's defense is just an abomination. But, Caleb Williams, they were dominating that game. Like every single 3rd and long they converted. Like he was fantastic. Like they didn't lose the game because of him. They lost the game because of their pathetic defense. Some boneheaded coaching moves by Riley, but what else is new with that? Kind of in the end of the game. And unfortunately, that guy muffed the kick, and that turned the game around because, they start at the 1 yard line, and it was 45-37 at that point, and they run on the half yard line, and they get tackled for the safety. And as soon as that happened, I'm sure you said it too, Dave. Like, oh shit, like we're in trouble here. Like,
right.
This is not good because honestly, they were almost better off fumbling it and allowing the touchdown because then they would have gotten the ball. USC would have gotten the ball back at worst in a tie game to go down and win it because Tulane wasn't stopping them. So at that point, you give up the 2 points and you give the ball back to Tulane. Tulane's quarterback works his magic on some 4th downs. The refs just absolutely pathetic. I mean, that was targeting if I'd ever seen it on that hit on the wide receiver.
That is a little surprising.
What the hell is he talking about?
I'd have called that. I thought it was targeting too. So
I mean, directly lowered the head, helmet to helmet hit. Oh no, he didn't launch himself. I've seen much more tame plays called targeting, and they picked up the flag for that, but it didn't matter in the end. And then they called the game-winning touchdown pass incomplete, where it didn't touch the ground at all. Like, fire those refs to the sun. I mean, that was terrible. But what a win for Tulane!
Yeah. What
a win for Willie Fritz, and and it was over a full-strength USC team. So, kudos to them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any other thoughts on the game, but that was just one of many just fantastic games this year.
It's a bittersweet moment too in a lot of ways because I'd been such a big proponent of Willie Fritz going back to Georgia Southern. So, I'm really happy for him. And it's kind of like just, I don't know. It's just so many things to unpack and process, like going through something like that. It's like, on the one hand, you're like, this has been a great season. It was great that, like Caleb played well and that he was more or less, maybe not necessarily healthy, but good enough to play well. But on the other hand, it's like, God damn it. Like, if they could just make a play on defense, they would actually not even be in the national championship game right now, basically. I mean, it's just like, what do they got to do to make a play on defense? Like, it's just that. It's just so... And like you said, it wasn't even, like, coverage. It was just they could not tackle anybody. Like, just ridiculous. Like, and, it's funny. Like, you talked about the safety. I'm like, once they got that happened, like, oh, that's it. They're gonna blow this, and they did. Just they had to drive the field, but you were like, not, it's over. Like, you're just
not a problem. There's 3 minutes left. Like, they can do that easy. Like, they work the clock perfectly to go down the field and score. But yeah, that was. I mean, I know it's just a meaningless game, but like, I'm sure the USC message boards are just lighting up right now with people like. How could we lose to Tulane? Like we're USC. Like how could we lose to Tulane in a bowl game? It's just.
Oh man.
But you know what? I'd rather be USC, Dave, than UCLA. I will say that.
Oh wow! Yeah, what a disaster. Yeah, I mean,
holy shit! Like that was one of the disgusting performances that I would mention, and that turned out to be a great game. But Pitt is. You should have seen the list of players that they didn't have in this game. Like, they were missing every one of their best defensive players. Their starting quarterback, Slovis, transferred again. I think he ended up going to Rice, of all places. So that tells you something about, what he thought of Pitt. Ends up transferring to Rice. So they're down to, like, their backup quarterback. They're all, like, ACC leading rusher. Didn't play the game. So they have, like, a body bag team out there. And they're down, I think, 28-14, something like that in the third quarter. And UCLA just completely gags the game away. DTR had like 3 interceptions. They had another fumble. It was just a complete embarrassment. And they somehow, through all that, end up taking the lead with like a minute left after Pitt can't convert on it was either a field goal or a 4th down they got stopped on. So they drive the field. They score a touchdown with like 30 seconds left. You're thinking, all right, for those of us in the like bowl mania and whatnot, all right, we're going to get the big points here on UCLA. They're going to win. All right, I can sacrifice the cover if they can just hold on for the outright win. And Pitt, with their backup quarterback, literally in like 3 plays, goes down the field and gets them in a position to kick the field goal and win the game. Just a completely embarrassing performance. Like DTR was better off not playing in this game because that was just miserable. Did you catch a lot of that one?
Oh gosh, yeah. And like you said, that I had them in the bowl picking for 27 points. That might have been one of a couple things that like kept me out of getting
37 for me.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was 30. Oh my god.
I was like so sure that was like the highest point pick I lost. We can get into that scenario. I actually still have a chance with the points to get into the second place, but regardless, like I was very confident about UCLA winning that game.
I mean, you would think I mean, like you said, even with ECR playing, and he played terribly. Like he's had some games where he's just throwing every other ball as an interception. Like he is so bad, like down the stretch. But like you said, like they had the game figured out. Like they were really close. Gosh, I don't know. You can't make it up. Like.
Yeah, that was a bad one. So that's one I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
those 2 days were just excellent with games. The Oregon North Carolina game,
great game.
Give credit to North Carolina for showing up, and I knew that was too many points. Like you're absolutely right, Dave. Like over 10, 12 in a bowl game, that's just way too many to lay unless it's Alabama playing like North Texas or something. That that matchup would never happen, but. For Oregon had lost a few players, like their offensive coordinator left. So you knew North Carolina was going to play a decent game, and they certainly did. But, Bo Nix gets the drive at the end of the game to get the win, and then they have to hold on as Drake May comes back down the field to maybe get a game-winning kick, and they didn't get close enough, so they just to throw the Hail Mary there at the end, and it doesn't work out. But that was a fantastic game. I think Drake May, like they should be teams are going to be tanking for him. Like he is a really good looking quarterback. Absolutely. So that was a really good game. And then I believe the same day it was Oklahoma and Florida State. Now that game I had as my number 1 pick on so my 43 pick as on Bowl Mania. I had Florida State. Man, that was a sweat. Again, like typical. Like, I'm glad Florida State won, but, like, Mike Norvell is just not good in these bowl games. He was horrible at Memphis, and, like, here against an Oklahoma team that was just, again, like, so many players opted out and were injured and, transfer portal, the whole bit, and Oklahoma almost won. But that was a really, really entertaining game to watch. And then I think the same day as the Oregon game was the Kansas-Arkansas game. I think I saw a tweet from you, Dave. You were in Vegas for this one, right? And
yeah,
you had
I was.
A lot of money in Arkansas.
Oh, that is the worst beat. I think that was the Mississippi State had a spectacular beat on New Year's Day. I will say.
Oh yeah. Were you on the right side of the Mississippi State one? Because I was, but I bet it at -2, so the field goal I was good with regardless. But if you bet that one late, like that was Happy New Year to you if you had Mississippi State and then like Tulane back to back. I mean, my goodness.
Oh, I know, but yeah, the way that Arkansas blew that cover, they won the game, but they blew the cover. That has to be one of the worst beats I've ever seen in my life. It was, all the things that had to happen for that to happen.
Yeah, it was 38-13, I think was the score.
Yeah, but
even after that, I think it was 38-23 with 4 minutes left. I think 5 minutes. It couldn't have been more than 4 minutes. And Arkansas is they're doing like a reverse play, and the guy breaks it for like 20 yards, but then he fumbles as he's going to the ground, and it really wasn't like 100% conclusive that it was a fumble. I thought it was a fumble. Obviously, I bet Kansas plus 2.5, so I thought it was a fumble, but it could have gone either way. And then Kansas goes down the field. They get the touchdown. They get the easiest onside kick I think I've ever seen in my life. Like Arkansas gave no effort on that whatsoever. Then Kansas goes down the field again, scores with basically 0 time left, gets the 2-point conversion, and it goes into overtime. And then it was just a flip of the coin from there. However, with the new college overtime rules, once you get to the third overtime, it's just alternating 2-point conversions. So anyone who bet like -2.5 is just completely screwed at that point. So, people with Kansas are counting their money, and people with Arkansas are, crying in their beer, which that was a bad beat, Dave. I hope you had Mississippi State to kind of make up for that one.
Yeah, I really was. I mean, it's crazy. And I don't remember what I did with the Oh, I think I did a teaser. And I was good. And thank God they didn't kick the extra point in that game, because I actually bought it up an extra point. Oh, my God. I would have been throwing things across the room.
It was the last play of the game. So, yeah, they're not going to at that point.
Oh, my God. Too much drama in that scenario. But the under was, like, way easy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was, like, the easiest under you'll get all month. But, props. Good for... I'm really happy that they did win for the late Mike Leach, though. I thought that was cool. It's kind of great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, I'm not going to say like destiny or anything like that, but it was the right outcome for that game. Sorry, Illinois fans, but that's how it had to end for sure.
Yeah.
Some other ones I'll mention here, like those were like the major ones that were like great, but there are some other sneaky good ones. Notre Dame, South Carolina was actually pretty entertaining. I didn't think that was going to be entertaining. That ended up being a really good kind of back and forth game. And Notre Dame ended up winning. Texas and Washington was pretty competitive. I guess Texas, they really missed Bijan Robinson, and they had their star linebacker wasn't playing, and that just was too much to kind of overcome. Texas Tech, Ole Miss was pretty good. Texas Tech is a good-looking program. I have to say that, like, watch out for them in the Big 12 next year. Like, they've got something going there. So that was a pretty good game. Let's see. I'll give you a couple of like the disgraceful teams like that I picked pretty high to end up losing. Georgia Southern, like what a horrible performance against Buffalo. I still can't believe they lost that one. Just no third down defense. They couldn't run the ball. Just pathetic in the red zone. They kicked like 4 field goals. That was terrible. San Diego State losing on Christmas Eve to Middle Tennessee, like that was brutal too. They shouldn't have lost that game. South Alabama not showing up at all against Western Kentucky.
That put me behind. That might have been the quickly. I can't believe that one. Like, yeah,
I was shocked. I was shocked about that one. Like South Alabama, they're playing for 11 wins, like one of their greatest seasons in school history, and they're down like 24-0 in the first quarter. Like it was done. It was over. At least in that game, you can flip over to something else because it was over. The really early games, SMU BYU was pretty close. That was an entertaining game at the end, as was North Texas Boise had a lot of points scored. Let's see, the UTSA Troy game was pretty entertaining, like we thought it would be. Troy really shouldn't have won. Like there's a lot of turnovers and whatnot by UTSA, but that's kind of how Troy wins. Those are some of the early games. I regret not going higher on Air Force as one of my like top picks. That was one of the easiest picks of like the entire bowl season. Yeah. Like Baylor, not good against the run. Like it was so cold. That's when like that Arctic blast was going through the country. It was like 10 degrees that night in Fort Worth, and like they just didn't want to tackle Air Force, and they ended up winning that one pretty easily. So that was a good pick. I wish I had gone higher on that. If I'd taken them instead of UCLA, maybe in first place right now in Bowl Mania. So yeah, I think that. Oh, and then I guess I'll mention my UConn team. Really some nerves when they first started the game. They got behind 14-0 against Marshall, and it was just kind of an uphill climb from that point. They did get within 2 touchdowns, and they were on the goal line to kind of make it to a 1 touchdown game, but they couldn't punch it in, unfortunately. And it was just a bad matchup. Like Marshall has one of the best defenses in the country, and not only like group of 5, like in the country. So it was going to be tough for UConn to get offense, and they just handed them short fields with turnovers, and that kind of was early on in the game, and that was the difference. I wish we could have played like Georgia Southern. Like we would have fucking destroyed Georgia Southern, that shit defense that they have. Like I'm still angry about that game. We would have beaten Georgia Southern, but in any event, it was still a fantastic season for UConn. And like Mora was saying the other day, like, yeah, this is a great season, but this is like the baseline now, like 6-6. Like this is our ceiling, and like our floor, and like it's only going to go up from here. So I definitely can get on board with that. So yeah, I think really a better bowl season than like we've seen in years. Honestly, like a lot of these games were really, really entertaining, and we kind of went into it thinking, oh man, like some of these are going to be kind of shitty because of all like the opt outs and coaching moves and transfer portal and the whole bit. But a number of them were entertaining. I mean, save for LSU Purdue, which probably shouldn't have even happened. Like that game was pretty sad.
A sad game for sure.
63-7.
One of the rare double digits.
Yeah,
because it was never a game, right? Like from the jump, it was like 38.
No, it was like 35-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
like it was bad.
Yeah, I gotta give a lot.
So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What?
No, I was gonna say like yeah. Go ahead with any other thoughts, and we can talk about the playoff games. But honestly, like I said, I don't have too much to offer for those.
I think that as far as that's a good segue. But I do want to also give some props to Tennessee for playing so well without Hendon Hooker. It was a great performance.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good call. I thought Clemson was going to win that game, and we were calling for Cade Klubnik's season. I don't think he's it after watching that game. I would have to say. And Joe Milton played really well. I'll give him credit. I did not expect that.
Same. Just a tremendous job by Milton. Like, I mean, I can't nothing but this is so rare. Two things. One, that Beebs actually picked Tennessee in the game. Ty, it's a new era when Beebs is picking Tennessee to in a big spot. Like, and the fact that they won, it really isn't. They did an incredible job. Heupel did a really good job this year. I can't really, I have nothing to. Say bad about him at this point. So great job, and we'll see if it carries over next year. So, okay, playoff New Year's 6. So that was one of them, and we talked about Cotton Bowl. So now for the playoff games, and then the Rose Bowl, which, to be honest with you, I was kind of seeing that coming. I mean, in the beginning, I was all Utah, like, oh, it's totally gonna be Utah. They really want to win this, but then I'm like, but everybody's betting them, and it's like I don't think.
Dave, I did the exact same thing. Like when I first saw the matchup, like, oh my God, yeah, Utah, easy. Like this is an easy pick. And then like as the time went on and the game got closer, I'm like, wait a minute. If everybody's picking Utah, like why are they only a 1-point favorite? And then like by game time, it switched to Penn State being a 1-point favorite. Yep. So I was completely convinced that Penn State was the right play, and they ended up being, even if Cam Rising didn't get hurt, and obviously that played a role in it, but even if he didn't get hurt, I think Penn State was going to win.
I agree, and certainly, it was evident from like the first quarter. Like it just seemed like they were outplaying them for a lot of it. It was a very slow start, and I'm like, if you're going to start that slowly against any team, you're going to be in trouble. And I think Penn State really took in that third quarter. They really put the clampers on them. Like they stomped them that third quarter, and it was after that they were completely in control. I will give a lot of credit to whoever the backup was for Utah for getting the over at the end of the game.
Yes. Yeah, I thought they were just going to kind of kneel on it too. But hey, you know what? You're in the Rose Bowl. Like, why run out the clock in the Rose Bowl? Like, try to score some goddamn points. So we appreciate him for that last drive.
Absolutely. And the playoff games, two great games. Like you said, I think they were not much I can really. I think it was. And so, by the way, TCU also screwed me as far as the bull pick'em. Like, good God. Like, I wish I had thought that through. But
same here. Yeah, I thought Michigan was going to roll them, honestly. You can't say enough about what Sonny Dykes did this year. Like, coming in as like first-year coach with the whole new, new players, new system. Well, obviously, some of the players were there at TCU last year, but you know what I mean. Like, he's coming in coaching a new group of players. Trying to put his system in place, and their defense, it's not great, but like it's opportunistic. Like all those 2 pick sixes, like there's another fumble recovery, and their offense is really explosive. I mean, you can't say enough about Max Duggan. What a competitor, and they just matched Michigan every single time that they got close. TCU had an answer, and what else can you say? Like Michigan, like. I did get to watch like a lot of the first half, and then I was kind of out of the mix for the second half, just kind of score watching. But like the first drive of the game, when like you're supposed to have like this great offensive line and great running backs, and you're fourth down and like 1 or 2 on the goal line, and you're running a trick play, like that just didn't show much confidence in Michigan, going forward in the game. And I think that kind of maybe gave TCU some more confidence, like, hey, like these guys aren't running it at us, in this moment. So I was honestly more surprised about that game, the way it played out, than the second game. Honestly, like what else can you say? Like TCU, just a fantastic job in the rare scenario where like we have a Cinderella story basically in college football playing for a national championship, which you never see.
You don't, and it's interesting. I think I was certainly among many people who doubted them throughout the season. Like, they're gonna blow this one. They're gonna blow this one. They go to the Big 12 championship and they find a way to win that too. And it's like, you know what? Or no. Sorry, they lost to Kansas State.
No, they lost that one.
Yeah, that was their only
loss.
But despite that, they go in there and they rise to the occasion here against Michigan. I mean, definitely you don't get many true surprises in college football, and that was one. It was really the entire season from start to end was just like one marvelous moment after another. So props to big time kudos to TCU for getting that done, despite losing the Big 12 title game, which not really that bad of a loss. I think the bad loss was Kansas State losing to Bama really surprised me. Like, I was not even just losing, but like getting completely humiliated. I was shocked. I'm like,
well, see, like they were right in that game too. There was just a swing in the first half where it just got out of hand. It was 14-10 Alabama, and Kansas State is going on like a 25-play drive. Basically, I'm not exaggerating. It probably was like 20 plays. I'm just saying 25, but it was a long drive, and they get down to like 4th and 2 on the goal line, and Howard misses his tight end. The guy was open in the little corner route. It would have been a touchdown, but instead they don't score. Bama gets the ball and goes like 50 yards. Goes 90 yards in those 50 seconds that were left, gets a touchdown. Kansas State tries an onside kick out of halftime, doesn't work. Bama scores again. And then like in the span of another minute, they put on another touchdown. So it went from possibly being 17-14 to then being 35-10, like in the span of 5 game minutes. So it was just over at that point. But I wouldn't say that, Kansas State was completely dominated. It was just a kind of a snowball after that stop on 4th down.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the end of the first half, I think emotionally they were not ready for like that all to happen at once. And that's true. I think once you get behind that by that much, it's kind of tough to come back. And I think the question was, did you agree with them going for it on 4th down when that first drive that took, as you mentioned, like probably like 10, 11 minutes? Like, I think you do. But
I think so too. I mean, it's a meaningless bowl game.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going up against Alabama. Like, why not? Like, what's kicking a field goal going to do there for you? Nothing. It's really not.
Yeah.
Like, just go for it. And they had the right play. The quarterback just didn't make the throw. So I think that was the right call. Even though it kind of deflated their momentum and it just led to that series of events that I just mentioned, but that was the right call to go for it.
Yeah, I don't really disagree with it. I mean, my dad didn't like it. He thought that they should have gone with a point, so at least it just stops momentum to some degree. You reward somebody, you hear this a lot. But you got to get rewarded for that long drive, and I kind of get it. But Bama's not the kind of team that's going to be, that's going to be slowed down by field goals. So I feel like I think you're right. I think that made a lot of sense. I will say I didn't think Ohio State had that offense in them. So I'm not sure what that is. Were they really that good? Some people are saying, yeah. I guess so. I don't know. I suppose it's true. It can be said that Georgia's defense is not on the same level they were last year, which was amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they gave up almost 40 points in the SEC championship game too. I mean, just a continuation of that. I mean, honestly, like, I watched very little of this game, kind of in and out of my, watching on my phone. I did see the last quarter, so I did watch the last quarter. But, Ohio State just explosive play after explosive play. CJ Stroud was just fantastic. Harrison getting hurt really changed things because, that was just losing another key piece on their offense. There was a 4th down play that got reviewed for Georgia when they were going in. I forget what the score was. They originally ruled it short, and then they reviewed it and gave them the 1st down, and Georgia ended up scoring a touchdown. So that was a big moment. The scenario where Kirby Smart takes the timeout before Ohio State runs their fake punt, which would have kept the clock moving, and Ohio State would have gotten 1st downs. Maybe iced the game at that point. So that was a huge moment. But give Georgia credit for like not quitting. Even though it looked pretty tough the way like Ohio State's offense was playing, they just didn't quit, and they were Stetson Bennett made some plays, and you knew the Ohio State defense was vulnerable after what they've shown against Michigan and against some of the other good offenses they played. But you have to make the plays to take advantage, and Georgia certainly did to get themselves back in the game. I do think that Ryan Day got way too conservative when they got to after Stroud's long run. You have 1st and 10 on like the 30-yard line, and you have 2 timeouts, and like you're essentially settling for like a 48-yard field
Surprising.
goal. Like that first down run was just killer. Like you have to keep pushing the ball there. Like I know you have a good kicker. I know it's in a dome. Like I completely understand that, but there was no reason not to try to get really any closer at that point with the game situation. Like get down to the 10-yard line. Like your offense has been just killing it. Like run your offense. Like you had Georgia on your heels there, and that was just some really, really bad game management. I think Ohio State was the better team, and they're gonna regret losing that game for a while. And actually, in our bowl mania, like I was one of 2 people that picked Ohio State. So like, if that game had flipped, like I might be in first place right now because like all those Ohio State people would have like lost points, and I'd be up there a little bit more. But it's not all about me. But just in general, like Ohio State, I think was definitely the better team. But hey, sometimes the better team doesn't always win. Like you have to make the plays in the clutch, and they certainly didn't. And Day definitely helped them out with that sequence at the end of the game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when you play to not lose, which is pretty much what they did, I definitely was surprised by that. Because I always think of Ryan Day being like an aggressive coach. That really is off. It seems off brand to me. Maybe I just don't know. Don't follow him that closely.
It's off the table now. Like I think it's been proven now. Like he's not really an aggressive coach when it really comes down to it. You're
right. In a big spot, right? Like, absolutely. Let's say hello to the Mod Father, Stuart Hayek. Thank you very much for the 12-month resub. Hello again. Well, happy New Year to you. Glad you're doing all right out there in the Great White North. And now let's go take a look at the College Football Championship game. The Cinderella story, TCU, going against the defending champion, Georgia Bulldogs, right here in Los Angeles, in Inglewood, California specifically, at SoFi Stadium, coming up on Monday. The spread is Georgia giving 13.5 points, nearly 2 touchdowns. That probably will go up over the weekend too, I believe, John. So we'll see. The over-under at the moment is 62 points. And you've got the main coverage on ESPN starting at 7:30 Eastern Time. I don't have an idea what the megacast coverage is going to be. I did not read any. All the press releases about it were for the semifinal round. I can only assume that there will be a megacast on the other ESPN networks, but certainly you will have the game, and it'll be interesting. I don't know how this is going to turn out for sure. I do have it in picks, and as I mentioned to everybody in the panel, they can select the game in picks too. So, John, let's get your thoughts on this game. I mean, we've already talked about both teams from the semifinal round. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you? I mean, we don't necessarily need a prediction because you might have a picks, but what's your feeling going into this one?
I mean, how can you say at this point from what you've seen from both teams, it's going to be nothing but like a back and forth offensive shootout? Like I know it's like the really easy thing to say, but what have we seen from either of these teams like the last month or two of the season where you don't see that happening? As I mentioned, TCU with like all these explosive playmakers, and that's exactly what Ohio State just did to Georgia. I will say that CJ Stroud's a better quarterback than Max Duggan. I think we can agree that, but I mean, maybe not that much better. Like Duggan's played phenomenal, and he's in the right system. Certainly with the air raid that Dykes is running there. So I think TCU is going to put up some points. Georgia's certainly to get their points. I don't think the TCU defense is going to offer too much resistance. So I think this is going to be a back and forth, really close game, high scoring. What was the over under again? Is it in the 80s or 70s?
62.
What's the over under?
62. Only 62.
82?
62.
62. Oh my God, that's an over. Like, right? Holy shit. Like, what?
I'm like, all over that.
This game is like 38-31. Somebody.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Like I'm going to be rooting for TCU because, like I said, I can still get up into second place in the bowl mania. Like I'm assuming the top 3 or 4 people in line for money right now are going to just pick Georgia. So I have to go in the contrarian direction with TCU. But I really do think they have a chance to win. Like, what have we, they've been doubted all year, as an underdog in these games. And, I know Georgia, they play in the SEC, but I mean, that doesn't really mean anything in a one-game scenario. TCU's defense has been really opportunistic. If they can make Bennett, have a few mistakes from him, like they easily could win this game if they get an extra possession or two. So I'll say 38-31. That's my final score prediction. We'll say TCU wins just because, I'm going to be rooting for them, but obviously not a surprise at all if Georgia ends up winning this. But I do think it'll be close. I'd be pretty surprised if it's like 42-10 Georgia. Like that would surprise me the way this season has gone and the way TCU has played.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of points in this game too. I think you're definitely going to see somebody in the 30s and probably somebody in the 40s, possibly someone in the 50s in this game. Like, it feels like that kind of game. So it's going to be a really good time. Let me say hello to Dara Hayden Music. Welcome in. Happy New Year to you. Dara Hayden Music is a musician on Twitch as well, and a great community member to a lot of great channels on this platform. And Turbo Swim, our good friend. It's so good to see you again, Swims. It's been a minute. How are you? How are your holidays? Hope you're well. Let's follow our friend Turbo Swim as well. And hopefully we'll see you back on stream someday too. But it's so good to see you. We missed all of you, everybody. I'm so nice to have you back. And this is John, Connecticut, joining me tonight. And we're covering sports. For those of you tuning in late, we had some incredible near tragedy, very scary situation as we let off the program with Damar Hamlin's injury and just a freak incident that had put him in cardiac arrest, and he's currently in critical condition, but showing signs of improvement. We covered the college football bowl season and this national championship game. John, that's a really great rundown. Like, honestly, I can't really add much to that. I guess that's really good. I have the game in picks, so I won't give you a final score yet, but you're not sold in the high scores as Swims. Swims might be kind of fading the public on this one, because I feel like we're kind of riding it as far as the total.
Well, I do think there's something to be said. Like, both teams, there's going to be like a feeling out stage kind of in the first quarter. So if that's the case, and it's, the Michigan TCU game was only 21-6 at halftime. So, if it's a scenario where it's like 17-7 at halftime, like I definitely could see that where, you would think it's not going to go over at that point, but these two teams, they could explode in the second half, like we saw in the Michigan TCU game. So maybe a first half under is the play, and then go live over at that point. That could be the kind of the way to play it, because I do think there'll be like a feeling out period for both teams, like in the first quarter. Yeah,
I mean, that's usually what would happen in a big championship game of that caliber, so I wouldn't be surprised either. So all said, it's going to be a really fun time. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same necessarily star power as you would normally see with maybe Clemson and Bama, or Ohio State and Alabama or whatever, but still going to be a pretty good game, and I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, thanks for the rundown. I think Swimming Turbo Swim, I think the bet to make money is on that. Oh, the first half under. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm guessing it would be around 30, 31.
Well, if it's half, it'd be 31, but they don't always do that. They'll play some games with it, but it's not usually half of what the actual total is. Yeah, but it'll probably be around 30 plus or minus a few points.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. So, okay. So yeah, that's great. So, we have our friends with some picks in the game, including myself. We'll get to those once we get to picks. But first, let's get back to the NFL. NFL from last week, and we've covered quite extensively the Monday night game. But as far as the rest of the schedule, there's some juice in that as well. And then there were some real blowouts. Like I know maybe I was putting too much confidence in the Rams, but geez, guys, man, you stink. But I mean, I've been down on them, but I thought that in that game, because it was the Chargers, they might have some juice. They were never in it. Never. But anyway, let's go to you for last week's action in the NFL.
Yeah, I put some faith in some really bad teams, Dave, last week. It departed my exit from our football pool, unfortunately, but had a good run. It happens. I hope you're still going, so I hope you continue to do well. But
thank you.
Yeah, I took the Bears against the Lions. Like, what am I thinking with that? Like, that was just ugly. Um, it was like 14-10 in the first quarter. You're thinking, all right, this is going to be like kind of a back and forth game. And no, I think Fields maybe have gotten a little hurt, but after that, the Lions just trucked them. The worst part of that game was if you're sitting there with like an over 51 or an over 52. I'm sorry, no, over 52, and it's 38-10 with 6 minutes to go. Yeah, I see you raising your hand. 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, and there's only a field goal scored in 6 minutes. And I'm sorry, in 6 minutes of the third quarter, and then the entire fourth quarter, there's 21 minutes of game action. They can only score a field goal. And I get it, like blowouts kind of, the clock just kind of runs and no one's like really doing that much. But how could you not score even like just a garbage touchdown, even like a turnover that sets up a short field? That was the most annoying beat of the day for sure. But yeah, the Lions just killed the Bears. I thought the Texans were just going to keep going with their run, but nope. Back to old Tankville for Houston, 31-3 against the Jags. So the Jags continue their impressive run. Kansas City continues to not cover these big spreads. Denver showed some life. And I should have known this one too, because usually the first week after a coach is fired, you get like a bounce from the team. And they clearly just did not like Hackett at all. I think they're probably be better off getting rid of Russell Wilson too. I think he's like the second person they hate the rest of the team. But Wilson had an okay game. And the Chiefs only win by 3, but hey, it's just, you need a win. The Colts continue their embarrassing performances under Jeff Saturday, 38-10 to the Giants. Like why is Nick Foles playing? Like it makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I guess he's not playing this week. Ellinger is playing. He's playing against the Texans, so that's going to be a fun game. The Saints beat the Eagles. Now, this was a game. This was like the one pick that I got right. This line was like pretty inflated. The Eagles were favored by like 6 points. And the Saints defense has been playing really well lately. It's been kind of going to the what we thought at the beginning of the season from them. And, the Eagles offense really just didn't do anything. They had one long play to A.J. Brown, but that was it. I mean, the Eagles are pretty banged up. They really need this bye week. So luckily for them, the Giants have locked into their spot in the playoffs. So you wouldn't think the Giants are really going to try that well or try that much this weekend. So the Eagles should get that 1 seed. But, very, very, very banged up Eagles team right now. And the Saints, just think if Mark Ingram doesn't go out of bounds on that play against the Bucs on Monday Night Football a few weeks ago, and they win that game, like they could be winning the division right now with a win against Carolina this weekend. That play just completely changed the course of like the NFC South picture, because Tampa once again comes back in the fourth quarter. Like, how can this keep happening every single week? They do shit for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden, they get into like the hurry up mode, and then Brady looks like a god again, and they beat the Panthers. So honestly, like I'd be worried if I was like Dallas going to Tampa for the wild card round, and they have like a 20-10 lead with like 7 minutes left. Like who as a Cowboys fan is going to be feeling comfortable at that point? Like nobody. Like we've seen it too many times from Brady and from the Cowboys. The Patriots win by 2 points against the Dolphins. Obviously a tough scenario with Miami having to start Bridgewater, who then hurts his finger. So Skylar Thompson comes in, and then New England's defense pretty much won the game. Again, another pick I had the under on, so I don't know how this game went over. Pick 6 from the Patriots, and then a garbage Miami touchdown with like a minute left. Just complete bullshit that this game went over. But that was just my weekend. I'd like to send a thank you to Ron Rivera for starting Carson Wentz in their biggest game of the season.
I know. I just made it so easy.
Yeah. What a good guy. Like, it's almost as if he wanted the Packers to make the playoffs, because why in the world would like you out of nowhere just put this clown back in there who the team didn't like, who couldn't win a game earlier in the season. But yeah, in our most important game of the season, let's go back to Carson Wentz, because that's a great idea. And then after the game, he didn't realize that they had been eliminated from the playoffs. Like, Ron, it's like, come back to us, buddy. Like, just not a good scenario there with Washington. But hey, we will take it because in the late games, the Packers took the field knowing they controlled their own fate for the playoffs, and they just absolutely mauled the fraud that is the Minnesota Vikings, who, by all accounts, like if you follow like the analytics, like the DVOA, like they're like the 27th best team in football in like the last how many ever games. They're just not a good. They really should be like a 6 or 7 win team basically. Instead, they have 12 wins. But hey, the ball bounced their way in a lot of these games. But yeah, they're just completely fraudulent. The Packers defense harassed Cousins. Their secondary was just completely locked down. Jair Alexander backed up all of his talk against Jefferson, holding him to 1 catch for 15 yards. Special teams, they actually have a kick returner now. They returned a kick for a touchdown, returned an interception for a touchdown. Their running game was just terrific. And, Rodgers, they really didn't have to do much. I mean, they had some good drives, but just an all-around great performance. And, it sets up a game with the Lions this Sunday, win, and they're in the playoffs. And after how they started the season and how it looked like a month and a half ago, honestly, I don't even care if they get drilled by San Francisco in the first round. It doesn't matter to me. Just get in the tournament and anything can happen. That's basically, the way things go. Like, they played Brock Purdy. Like, they can intercept Brock Purdy. Like, this is not going to continue from Brock Purdy. Although I will say, like, as we get into the late games here, we'll move off the Packers. That was a great win. But the Niners and the Raiders, like, that was the game of the day, one of the games of the day. And Jared Stidham surprisingly played really well against the best defense in the NFL. I did not see that for sure. So maybe it's the system with McDaniels, but he was actually throwing the ball to Adams, and they really had something going. But give credit to the Niners and Purdy. They made the plays when they need to late in the game to kind of get the game tied, and then Stidham did have an interception in overtime, and the Niners won. But I still think that I would not. I know it's a bad matchup for the Packers in terms of like how the Niners can run the ball. And that's kind of the weakness of the Green Bay defense is like you just run right at them. And you've seen that before. Like I'd rather play like a heavy passing team because the strength of their defense is passive defense. But I'll take my chances playing up against Brock Purdy. Would love to play the Vikings again in the playoffs. That's for sure. If that's the match, if they can get there. Man. But it looks like it's going to be Giants and Vikings in round 1, which the Vikings might only be like a 2-point favorite at home in that game, which is going to be wild. In the first round. But again, like Green Bay, they have to win the next week. Like I'm not assuming anything. It's going to be a really tough game. The Lions are a really good team. It's a division rivalry. Even if they can't make the playoffs, like they are going to want to spoil the Packers season on national television. So it's by no means a guaranteed win, but Packers have put themselves in position to do it, which would have seemed unthinkable a month ago. And then 2 other games I'll mention. You mentioned the Rams Chargers. I was with you. I thought the Rams were going to play them close, but that was pretty bad. Jets didn't show up. Yeah, that was. I bought into the hype that Mike White was going to be an upgrade over Zach Wilson, and he really wasn't. And the Seahawks they were in control from the start of that game. And they keep their kind of playoff hopes alive. Jets are eliminated, but the Jets need a quarterback. Like they need to go like all in on Lamar Jackson in the offseason or whoever to bring somebody in there that's better than these bozos they got now because they're wasting a good defense. And then the final game, the Steelers. How about Kenny Pickett?
Boy,
the Ravens hadn't given up a touchdown at home. I think the stat said in 15 quarters, and here they go, 3 minutes left. Bink, 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 bink down the field, and Pickett really showed you something. So I think the Steelers got something with him, and they could still make the playoffs. It's really not out of the realm of possibility here. So what a great job by them. And the Ravens, they're just the king of blowing games at this point. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Their defense is just amazing. Like adding Roquan Smith really solidified their defense, but they just have a hard time scoring, and they've been blowing these games. So really a high variance team for the playoffs. So that's kind of, I guess, the rundown of action from last week. I'd be interested to hear any of your thoughts, Dave, on some of these games.
Well, what a 2-week run the Steelers have been on, right? First that comeback in like 11 degrees in against the Raiders to pull off that win, on Franco Harris's the number retirement / memorial, which is such an emotional week for the Steelers, of course. But they just were doing nothing on offense, and they just came back, just like you said. Some Ben Roethlisberger vibes, obviously not the same thing. I mean, clearly not as good, not the same kind of electricity. But Pickett does it again. Here, and it always seems to come out of nowhere. Like you said, like their offense was doing nothing the rest of the game. It was like 13-10, and they come back and they win. And just an incredible show of guts, moxie by this team. It just goes to show you, Mike Tomlin, when his team's an underdog, he will get this team fired up for the game. Props to him. Just an incredible job, like coaching the last 2
He's never had a losing season as a coach, and he can extend that this weekend with a win. So
I like their chances. They're going to play They're going to play the Browns. They can't get out of their own way on offense. Things have been very rusty with Watson back there, and what would stop them? And this is sort of my thought there. The Browns defense is terrible. Like I just think there's a real chance. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to win that game, but I think they got a real shot there. And I think they're.
Yeah, I like the under in that game. Like, where are the points coming from? Like you said, the Steelers' offense really doesn't do anything until kind of late in the game, and the Steelers' defense is really good. Like, I don't see Watson doing much of anything. It's going to be they're going to try to establish the run. I see it being like another 17-14 kind of game. I like the under in that matchup, and it could go either way on the side, but that's where I would lean. I can't believe it's like 40.5 is the under for that, or over under for that matchup.
38.5. Was it 48.5? Would be crazy.
Yeah, 40.
Oh, 40. Oh,
still.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would take the under too. Yeah, that's pretty good. Triple Swim was a lot of comments here. I love this. So first of all, swimming, if for those of you who are not aware, is a Cowboy fan, has been for a while. I haven't been confident in the Cowboys since 1995. That's quite right. But yeah, Brady he mentioned how Brady just somehow win somehow. In this case, it was with a quarterback sneak, which we will say, he's one of the, it's kind of a joke, but it's also true. Like, he's one of the greatest quarterback sneakers in the history of the league. He is. He's great. Does a great job with that. So, Swim says Washington is too busy scamming employees and harassing journalists to worry about football. And Kevin would have a field day with that comment. That's pretty much the gist of it. And then he says how the Raiders find ways to lose amazes me. On paper, that team isn't that bad. That's the frustration of it. My dad's feeling that because he's a Raider fan.
Yeah, they've been in some wild games this year. Their record isn't as bad as their team is. I mean, they have some talented players on that team. So it's just a combination of just some bad luck, some bad coaching, just a lot of different things. But they're not as bad as their record would indicate. I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's a really talented team to be only whatever it is, 8-9 or 7-8 or whatever it is at this moment. Like, that's
6-10.
6-10. Okay, so that's right because that, and this is with that ridiculous win they had against the Patriots. This is with that win. So, man, you definitely think they would have a better record than that right now. They're in every game. Like, it's really interesting. So let's go look at this week's action, and there's going to be quite a bit of it. Like, if you take a look at what's happening, this is an incredible slate. Like, we are looking and it just tends to happen. Like, every year, the final week of the season's got games with playoff implications. But I feel like every single game on this chart, and there's 10, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think there are 9 games on here on the screen, and every one of them has juice. Like Ravens, Bengals. So the Bengals, the game basically was postponed. So they got something to play for. Browns, Steelers, we talked about that already. Chargers, Broncos with such a delicious roll. In the case of in the rule of spoiler, don't they? Like, this is really, they're going to be so excited about that game. And then give it to Brian Dable. Brian Dable's like, we're not going to rest guys. We're going to play. I think what they want to do, they want to spoil the Eagles getting like a good seed in the playoffs. I think that's what they want to do. They want to be a spoiler in that regard. Rams always play the Seahawks tough, although this year's Rams is very different. It's just such a shitty team. Like, I can't even get over it. And then we talked about Lions Packers. So John, this week's action, I think you kind of did it already, but anything else you want to add as far as what we're going to be seeing this weekend?
Yeah, there's lots of playoff implications on the line. I just went into the Packers-Lions game. I mean, they're favored. They're at home. They should win. I mean, the Lions' defense isn't really good, and that's where the Packers will have the edge, I think, because they should just follow the game plan that Carolina had a few weeks ago and just ram the ball down their throat. Like Jones on one play, Dillon on the next, and just keep doing it. And that's exactly how Carolina won. And I never thought I'd say that, like Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, but that's how they kind of need to win these games. Just establish that run and get them going. And then off of that, you can have some play action. Christian Watson he got hurt in the Christmas game, against the Dolphins, but he came back last week and he only had one catch, but he's almost like a decoy sometimes in the offense because just having him on the field allows the other people to be open, like underneath and then some of the other routes. So, I think, like I said, they're going to have to establish the run with Jones and Dillon, and just do some play actions off of that with Watson and Doubs and Cobb. Like the Packers are actually pretty healthy. Like having a bye week late in the season, like really helped them, honestly, this year, like having that week 14 or whatever it was bye week. And then I think, the Lions offense has been really good, but when they've gone outside into the conditions, it hasn't been as good as obviously when they're home on their turf field in Detroit. So I think outside like road Jared Goff is not going to perform at as high of a level. It's still going to be a really good game, but I obviously would definitely give Green Bay the edge. So I think that's where I think they're going to win. I sure hope they do, and we'll see where the chips fall, where they would play on the wild card round. If they do make it, like I think that like the pressure will be off of them, honestly, compared to previous years because they're like the 1 seed and at home and like they'd be playing with house money at this point if they're in this number 7. So I think that's I think that would be a good thing for them if they end up getting in. But first things first, they got to take care of business against the Lions. Let's see what else you have there. And if the Seahawks were to somehow lose to the Rams earlier in the day, that game would turn into a win and in scenario for both the Packers and the Lions. I think the NFL is almost kind of hoping for that. That Seattle were to lose, but if the Seahawks win, the Lions are eliminated, and then it's just either the Packers or the Seahawks would get that last spot. So, kind of surprised they didn't play those games at the same time, but they wanted Green Bay and Rodgers in prime time, so it is what it is. That Saturday doubleheaders would kind of screws things up. Like you could have put the Jaguars on Sunday Night Football, the Titans Jaguars game, but then you needed. But because of the Saturday bullshit, you needed 2 games on Saturday. So that's what they're doing for that. You figured the Tennessee is going to give their absolute best effort in this game. Like I think what the spread's now like 6 or 7. Like I think that's too many points, even with Josh Dobbs. I think Tennessee, like they were resting starters for this game. Their defense is going to be healthier. Dobbs did show you a little something against the Cowboys last week. The Jags defense is probably better than the Dallas defense as a whole. I mean, obviously there's some individual players from Dallas that are just amazing, but as a whole, I think the Jags defense has been playing much better. But I do think this is going to be a close game. I think that's a little too much for, the Jags to be laying in like a win and in division scenario. So I would kind of lean Tennessee in that game. And then you have the whole triumvirate in the AFC where, the Steelers, Dolphins, and Patriots are battling for that last spot. The Patriots hold the cards at the moment, but they're playing at Buffalo to be determined, I guess, if the game happens. Right now, we're going to say yes, but who knows? But you'd figure if New England loses that game, then the next in line would be Miami, but Miami doesn't have their quarterback. Like as of now, Skylar Thompson's playing, and I would say the Jets probably are going to win if Skylar Thompson's playing just because of their defense. And then next in line after that, Dave, is the Steelers. So the Steelers could very well sneak in the playoffs again this year, which would be amazing. Let's see what else. Yeah, and then the race for like the seeding on the NFC. The Eagles, like as I said, if they win, they get the 1 seed. The Giants are completely locked into number 6. I don't know how Dable's going to play it. I mean, the spread is telling you that they're not going to really at all. The spread's 14. So I honestly, I don't know what to make of that game at all, honestly. And then the Cowboys still have a chance. If somehow the Eagles were to lose and the Cowboys won, the Cowboys would get the division and quite possibly the number 1 seed. But I don't see the Eagles losing, at least right now, unless the Giants come out and they're like, yeah, we're playing this like 100% through, like I could possibly see the Giants winning, especially if Hurts doesn't play. I know Minshew has been productive, but there's a drop off there. So
Yeah.
you could see that playing out. But again, until we know about what's going on with the Giants, then you really can't make a prediction on that game. So, and then you have the seeding things in the AFC, but we really don't know what's going to happen until the Bills Bengals game is resolved. So the Ravens Bengals game, it could be for the division, but it could not be because of that extra game that still needs to be played. So a lot of that is still up in the air. But it's going to be a good slate. I think the Saturday games, it's cool to have the NFL on the Saturday, but kind of takes away a little bit the juice on Sunday. Like those Sunday 4:25 games aren't really that great in my opinion. But you get a good Sunday night matchup, and then you got the Jags Titans game really should have been like in a different window. But whatever, Saturday night we'll watch it. So.
Yeah, really good observations all the way around, John. I do have this comment from our friend Stuart Hayek who says, "While Packers have too much of an advantage over Dome and South teams this time of year, that move to Sunday night is a crime this week." And I get that because it's like it does seem like there's an inherent advantage playing in Lambeau. I mean, it probably was more of an advantage back when Brett Favre was playing, but still it's a pretty big advantage. Like, the Dome team playing the cold weather team, generally that favors.
Well, now it's the whole. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I said. Like the Lions are a very different offense when they're not playing on the Dome. So I give Green Bay the advantage, but it's by no means like a lock. I would say that they would probably win by like a touchdown, but fluky shit happens. So you could definitely see them losing, but I think the Packers will get the job done.
Love it so much. Love it so much, John. Let's give a shout out also to our friend Mon Samerki. Welcome in, Mon. Well, Happy New Year to you. Hope you're doing well, folks. If you're watching on Twitch tonight, we'd love to have you give our friend Mon a follow. She does amazing art, and we had her on the Sandwich Show just a few weeks ago. Really great spot. If you missed it, the VOD is up right here on our Twitch page, so check it out too. So now, I think we've really done all the scenarios. Let's get to it. Let's do the picks. So, John, 4 picks this week. You can select, although you already gave the score, so I don't think you're going to be selecting the CFP Championship, but you can select 4 other games from the NFL slate. So when you're ready, we're ready for you.
All right, yeah, no, I won't. I'll just do NFL. I mean, I give you my pick for the national championship game. I said 38-31, but like I said, I'm kind of biased because I want TCU to win for our Bowl Mania pool. So I'm kind of looking at it with a jaded lens. So we won't pick that for our contest. But yeah, we'll close that out here with 4 games. We'll go pretty quick because honestly, it's a tough week. Week 18 now is hard because you don't know like the motivations of some of these games where teams really aren't playing for much, or like who's in and who's out. Like you've already seen a lot of quarterback changes, so it's tough. But here we go. I will take a Saturday game, and I won't take the Tennessee game, even though I did say I do like Tennessee with the points. It's not going to be a pick here. I'm going to take the Raiders plus 9.5. I think they showed you enough with Stidham at quarterback. I mean, he played great against the best defense in the league, and now he's playing the Chiefs, which is a significant downgrade in terms of defensive quality. And the Chiefs, they just haven't been covering these big spreads all year. I know their offense almost is more efficient away from home, which is crazy to say, but that's kind of how they played recently under Mahomes. But I think this is too many points. The Raiders have been kind of feisty, like we've talked about, like, and they're better than their record indicates. And I think this will be like a touchdown game. So give me the Raiders plus 9.5 to probably lose, but cover and make it close. Game number 2, we'll go to Sunday, and this is the worst game of the entire maybe year, but I'm going to take the Colts minus 2.5 against the Texans. The Texans are going to tank this game. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to do everything they can to lose this game, because if they win, they can relinquish the number 1 draft pick, because earlier today, the Bears announced they are starting Nathan Peterman. So they're not beating the Vikings with Nathan Peterman starting at quarterback. So if the Bears were to lose and the Texans were to win, the Texans would lose the number 1 draft pick to the Chicago Bears. And they do not want to do that. So they're going to do everything in their power to tank this game. And the Colts will win by a field goal, 13-10. and the Colts will win. So -2.5 for the Colts. The most disgusting game of the year, but Houston's not. They don't want to win this game. Game 3, we're going to take the Jets -1 in Miami. Like I said, Skylar Thompson against the Jets defense. I think the Jets are going to want to finish the season like prideful and win and keep the Dolphins possibly out of the playoffs. And wouldn't it be like the Jets to completely, shit the bed when they needed to, and then in the last game of the year when it's meaningless, they get a win. That's the Jets for you. So that's what they're going to do. We'll go with the Jets -1 against Miami. And then the last game, I'm going to take the Rams +6.5. They burned us last week, Dave, but too many points. It's always the scenario in Week 18, like the team has to win. The team has to win against a team that's playing for nothing. Well, there's more pressure on the team that has to win. I think the line is a little bit overinflated. Like, what have you seen from Seattle over the last 2 months that would say let's lay a touchdown with them? I know they beat the Jets last week, but this is still a division game. I don't think the Rams aren't quitting or they can't tank for any draft picks. They have none. I think Mayfield's going to want to go out on a pretty decent note. I think they'll be able to run the ball in Seattle. I think this will be a fairly close game. I think this line probably should be more like 4 than 6.5. So give me the Rams +6.5. So very odd quartet of picks, but I'll take the Raiders +9.5, the Colts -2.5, the Jets -1, and the Rams +6.5 for Week 18 NFL. And this is the last week of our contest, right, Dave? I know we'll probably give picks on just discussion on the playoff games, but for our official records and whatnot, this is the last week.
It is, and as we mentioned before, you've already clinched it. You're basically doing victory lap this week, John. So kudos to you and congrats. Because I was just doing I don't think you can't even if you went 0. I mean, I don't want you to go.
If I went 0-4, I'd be that would be horrible. But I'd be 38-37, I think, or 35.
You would be you'd be 38, 35-1.
Okay, and then the best you could do would be 36-33.
36-37. So it's pretty
okay. Yeah, so then I'm all right.
You're pretty much clinched. Yeah. Yeah, but it was but seriously, that's a great job out of you. So let's go to my picks. Let's go to the rest of the picks. Andy does not have picks in yet, so we'll.
No, Andy, I did. I don't know why you're locked out of the group chat, but I got Andy's picks, so I can read them off to everybody.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, so Andy and Seattle's picks. Let's do it. Hold on, let me just get the slide up over here. And all right, take it away, John.
All right, so Andy did take TCU +13 for the college championship. So that's his first pick. And then he's taking the Jags -6 in that divisional winner-take-all game against Tennessee. He's taking the Broncos -2.5 against the Chargers. He's taken the Ravens +7 Bengals. And then he's taken the Bears +7.5 against the Vikings. Interesting strategy with Peterman, but Andy's got a method, so... those are his picks, and he says, "Hopefully you can see this, Dave." Obviously not. I would reply and say,
I'm fortunate.
Dave cannot see it. I don't know why you're locked out of the group chat. I didn't kick you out, Dave.
I don't know what's going on with that. That's just a strange quirk of this new phone I have. But now, what was the point spread for the last game again? Bears plus
+7.5.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Andy, very much. Now, Andy has 5 picks this week because. The Bengals pick from last week was not counted. Obviously, the game was postponed. So, good luck, Andy. Thank you very much for sending those picks. I will at some point reinstate myself into that group text thread. It's a disaster right now, but good luck, Andy. Thank you very much for sending the picks, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so let's continue then with Ron in New Jersey's picks, and he sends these via the text. So let's get right to it. Ron's picks. Let me just put my screen up here. No, that's fine. I guess I could just do that. Okay, ready. Here we go. So Ron's picks. Here we go. Where's my button? Okay, there we go. Okay, so we do have a lot of action with respect to picking the college championship game. So Andy got his picks. He went with TCU. Ron's going to take this game as well. He will go checker on a checker with Andy's pick, and he will take TCU getting 13.5 points against Georgia in the national title game on Monday. That's pick number 1 for Ron in New Jersey. Pick number 2, he's going to take the Raiders. So that's the checker on a checker with John's pick. He's going to go Raiders getting 9.5 versus the Chiefs in Sin City for game number 2. Game number 3, he will go checker on a checker with Andy's pick of Jaguars giving 6 against the Titans. And for game number 4, and I mentioned this to Ron in the text, because this could potentially, there's nothing that really says for certain whether whether the Bills will play this game. But assuming they do, he will take the Bills giving 7 at home against the Patriots. So Ron's picks again: TCU getting 13.5, Raiders plus 9.5, Jaguars giving 6, and Bills giving 7 points for Week 18 in the NFL and the national title game. And now, let's go over to Kevin on the Caves picks. Here we go. So for Kevin, he will also select the national championship game. He's going to go the other way. He's going to take Georgia giving 13.5, laying the 13.5 against TCU. He will go Giants getting a whopping 2 touchdowns, 14 points at the Eagles. He will take the Seahawks swallowing 6.5 points at home against the Rams. And I think, so his final pick will be Lions getting 4.5 at the Packers. And so that leaves us with my picks. And I just got to double check all the numbers here. Okay, I think I got them. So here are my picks for the weekend. I will also be taking on the CFP Championship. I will side with Kevin. I'm going to take Georgia giving 13.5. And it's not to really disagree with anything John said as far as the breakdown. But I think what would happen probably late is it'll probably be like a late touchdown, like in the last 5 minutes of the game, which will give Georgia the cover. Because otherwise, I actually do think it's gonna be a back and forth game. It'll be quite a riveting affair. But Georgia will find a way to cover late, and they will have their back-to-back championship. I predict. We'll see. The NFL picks this week will be Broncos getting, and I think I need to change this because I had 3, but I'm gonna get 2.5 now because of Andy's pick. And that's fine. I think the Broncos are going to win. Broncos getting 2.5 for the Chargers because Chargers. I mean, how many times have we seen the Chargers against a team in Denver that's been terrible all year and still somehow find a way to lose? There's no logic behind this. It's just what the Chargers do. And the bigger the spot, the more likely it happens. So, I mean, I'd be glad to be wrong in this scenario, but I am going to side with history here. We're going to go with the Broncos getting 2.5. A good defense anyway. And they are resolved with that shitty coach they had. All right, 2 more picks to go. We will go checker with Kevin's pick of Giants getting 14 at the Eagles. Nothing more to be said about that one. And the Cardinals. We're going to take the Cardinals getting 14 at the 49ers. This could be very risky here. But
your last time ever to bet on Cliff Kingsbury Day, so take advantage of it.
I mean, Cliff Kingsbury as an underdog is a good bet a lot of the time.
Farewell song. He's going to put everything he has in this game.
Oh, you think his
gone? Ass is fired on Monday, so he might as well do it.
I think you're right. I think this is going to be a swan song right here. So we're going to just make it count. Cardinals getting 14 at the 49ers. Giants plus 14. Broncos plus 2. And Georgia minus 13.5 for the final.
I actually think the Broncos are minus 2 or 2.5.
Are they really?
That's what. Yeah, but you know what? If you think they're going to win, I mean, it's not that big of a difference. But I just checked.
Okay. You're right. Okay, so that's giving 2.5. Okay. So,
maybe they're thinking Herbert's not going to play. Or not play much at all. I don't know.
Okay, let me adjust. So that's actually a checker with Andy then, because Andy had the same side. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah. That makes sense. So, quick update. Yeah, so Broncos minus 2.5 then. And there are your picks. That's how we close the season on this contest. Very exciting. Good luck to all. Good luck to Andy. And sorry I couldn't get any of your texts today, guys. I don't know what's going on. That's just the most strangest thing. You guys sent texts, I didn't get them? That makes even less sense. I don't know what to say.
No, the only one I got in the group was just now from Andy about his picks. So maybe check your phone after and see if you got that one.
I'll do that, yeah. SFX Pines, welcome into the chat. And Swimmery says, I think at the time, regarding the scheduling of the Lions game, it was the only way to ensure a game with playoff implications to end the season, since most of the others either seeding or required multiple things. I see. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Pines, I got something for you. Velveeta, welcome in, Pines. Good to see you. So nice. Yeah, and I guess, I mean, I'm not really sure. I think that's about it. I mean, we could play with the NFL playoff machine. You ever do that on the ESPN's website? Like, you just click around the teams to see if what they do. But
Oh yeah, I used to do that. Yeah, but with 1 week left, it's pointless. It's fun to go through that with 4 or 5 weeks left, like picking the random games and whatnot. But with 1 week left, it's like whatever. We know the scenarios at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been a really great, a fun ride, and I know we guys as a panel had started off the year brutally, so it's really great. We all had a pretty respectable record at the end of the year, and everybody made runs at the end. So I'm happy for that. And like you said, as far as your pick 'em group, I'm bummed that you didn't get to the final round.
Yeah, it's just my luck, Dave. I had my worst week of the year when it matters, but that's kind of my luck with some of these things. But hey, I did win that soccer World Cup bracket for the pool, so can't complain too much.
For sure. And that's a huge win. So kudos to you for that as well. Like, really cool. So, so I understand that I'll be in the semifinal round. Basically, 3 shots to win money. Like, it'll be you win first or second. If I lose, I can still play for third place. So we're really excited. It'll be fun, and we'll see what happens. So, but yeah, final thoughts, John. I mean, thanks again for doing this, and feel free to have the last word.
Yeah, no, it was a fun show. Even just me and you, Dave. We covered probably a lot more than we might have with the rest of the guys. So we have to talk about a lot of those bowl games. I really enjoyed the bowl season this year.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to, but man, I watched like a little bit of every game. Like, these games were just fantastic. So happy about that. Obviously a somber tone with the situation in Buffalo, but hopefully he's going to be okay, and we can we can celebrate him being back on the field, not playing, but at a stadium, or at a Bills playoff game. That would be phenomenal. Next month or something. So that'd be great. And yeah, just in general, just looking forward to the games this weekend, and should be exciting last week. I don't know if any of your Twitch followers enjoy golf, but the golf season starts tomorrow night.
Nice.
In Hawaii. The Century Tournament of the Champions. It's just a fantastic field of golfers, and really excited for the season. I know Dave will be doing our major shows soon enough. It's, once the Masters comes around. But even if you're still doing the Sandwich Sports Show, you got stuff to fill. I can talk about golf for 20 minutes or something. So yeah, I'm definitely in for that.
I think Andy will too. I'm sure. So I'd be glad to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about I'm drawing a blank now. The Genesis Invitational, the tournament out in your neck of the woods. That's a fantastic tournament every year. If we wanted to do a quick segment or recap about that, after the following week or whatever, I'm down for it. So it's gonna be a great season.
Cool, John. Well, Happy New Year once again. Have a great rest of your week, and good luck to you the rest of the way in all your scenarios. Hopefully a very profitable weekend for you, one way or the other. And thanks again. We'll see you next week, hopefully, for the playoff preview.
Sounds good, Dave. Take care, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks so much. All right, John. Take it easy. John in Connecticut, folks. That was great stuff. So good to see him back. That's going to do it for us on the podcast feed, but we're going to keep the feed going. So I got to figure out how to fill 30 minutes. But for those of you on the podcast, I want to thank you again for doing this. We appreciate your time. It's been great. And for those of you, we'll do a fairly hard stop on the YouTube side. So, and then on the podcast side, thanks again. If you missed any part of the program, you can catch the replay at sandwichsports.podbean.com or at your Apple, or look for Sandwich Sports on Spotify or Amazon Podcasts or wherever you can find podcasts, and you'll find it there. For those of you on Twitch, we'll be back. We'll continue rolling, and at the top of the hour, we're gonna do I got a sneak preview of some original music I've been working on, but until then, for those of you on the sports side, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.